Genre: Informational and Procedural Texts. Level E, Lesson 29. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to recognize the characteristics of informational and procedural texts, understand how text structure contributes to an author's purpose, identify an author's central idea and supporting evidence. What you should know before doing this lesson. Informational texts give facts and information about a topic. Procedural texts explain a process, such as how to do or make something. Some awesome words to look at before we read are archaeologist. Use the syllable segmenting strategy to read this word. Ar-key-al-o-gist. Say the word. Archaeologist. An archaeologist is a person who studies human history through artifacts. Pharaoh. Say the word. Pharaoh. A pharaoh is a ruler in ancient Egypt. Tutankhamun. Again, use the syllable segmenting strategy to read this word. Tu-tun-ka-mun. Say the word. Tutankhamun. Tutankhamun was an Egyptian pharaoh. Artifacts. Say the word. Artifacts. An artifact is an object made by a human being of historical interest. Informational texts offer facts about various topics. Procedural texts use facts to describe or explain a procedure or how to do or make something. Each kind of text is structured to achieve the author's purpose, to inform or explain. Let's look at an example of an informational text. Follow along and listen as I read The Discovery of Tutankhamun's Tomb. In 1922, British archaeologist Howard Carter began uncovering the tomb of Tutankhamun, also known as King Tut. Tut was a 14th century BCE boy king of Egypt. The discovery of Tut's tomb changed people's understanding of ancient Egypt. Carter began working on archaeological digs in Egypt as a teenager. He helped discover and explore the tombs of several pharaohs, or kings, of ancient Egypt. The tombs were in the Valley of the Kings. This is a site near the Nile River where many pharaohs were buried. In 1907, Carter started doing digs for the British Earl George Herbert. He discovered some interesting objects. Carter believed there might be another pharaoh's tomb at the site. Yet, by 1922, Herbert was ready to give up on the site. Carter convinced Herbert to undertake one last dig. One day, Carter dug near the corner of another pharaoh's tomb. He discovered steps leading down. The steps led to Tutankhamun's tomb. It took Carter and others 10 years to explore it. The objects they discovered provided a wealth of information about ancient Egypt. By studying King Tut's body, archaeologists learned about ancient Egyptian burial practices. For example, they discovered that ancient Egyptians buried kings with gold and gems. Scientists also ran tests on the young king's body to learn about diseases of ancient Egypt. These studies have helped fill a huge gap in people's knowledge of ancient times. Now, follow along and listen as I read a procedural text, Conducting an Archaeological Dig. If you've ever been curious about what lies beneath your feet, you might just have the heart of an archaeologist. These scientists study the past by looking underground. Archaeologists dig up what humans have left behind. They uncover ancient houses, tools, pottery, cave paintings, and even bones. If you're interested in learning more about the field of archaeology, then read on and find out how to conduct your own dig. The first step is finding a place to dig. If the property is not yours, you'll need permission from the owner. Begin by walking around an area and being very observant. You want to determine whether a site might yield any artifacts. Items that have been buried for a long time may rise to the surface after heavy rains. A field that has been plowed to plant crops may turn up artifacts. Look for shells, beads, bits of iron, pottery, and bones. These are clues that people once lived in the area, and where you find people, you'll find things they left behind. Say you've found a site that looks promising. What's next? It's time to prepare for your dig. Gather the things you'll need: a shovel, brushes, a pan or bucket, and small plastic bags are good tools to start with. You'll also need a notebook and pen to make notes about what you find and where you find it. It's now time to move on to the next step, digging. Mark off the size of the pit you want to dig. About 2 feet by 3 feet is the average size. Use a shovel to remove the top layer of soil or plant materials. This should take you down about an inch below the surface, where you may begin to find artifacts. When you find something, remove it carefully and brush away debris. Put each item you find in a separate bag. Make notes, and if you have a camera, take photos to help you remember where you found each artifact. The final step is figuring out what the artifacts can tell you about the people who once lived in the area. Take the pieces home, wash them, and let them air dry. Carefully study each artifact. Is it a piece of a small tool? What was it used for? Did you find a pottery shard? Is it plain, or does it have a design? Who might have made and used these items? To help you find answers, you may want to consult an expert. Take your artifacts to a local museum or university and ask for help. Conducting your own archaeological dig can be hard work, but it can be exciting too. When you uncover objects buried under layers of dirt, you open a window to the past. Let's take a moment to look at the structure of each text. Both excerpts present facts about a topic. Look at the first paragraph of an informational text about the discovery of King Tut's tomb. It includes facts about when the tomb was discovered, who discovered it, and who King Tut was. Notice the last sentence. What does the author want us to know about the discovery? The discovery changed our understanding of ancient Egypt. Now, look at the first paragraph of a procedural text. It also gives facts about a topic. It explains what archaeologists do and the kinds of things they find. The last sentence of the excerpt gives a clue about the text's purpose. The author says the text will explain how to do something. What will it teach readers to do? It says, read on and find out how to conduct your own dig. Recognize characteristics of informational and procedural texts. Informational text gives facts and details about a person, place, thing, or event. Facts are statements that come from reliable sources. It is important for authors to provide reliable information. This information gives facts about Howard Carter's work. It includes details about discoveries he made and facts about where the tombs were. A procedural text is one kind of informational text. It explains how to do or make something. This excerpt gives information about how to do something. It is important to know exactly how and in what order to do each step. If procedural text instructions are not clear, the process won't work. Identify and describe text structure. Authors use different text structures to organize ideas in the text. Identifying and understanding text structure will help you recognize, understand, and remember key ideas in a text. You can use strategies, such as asking questions or finding signal words to help you identify a text structure. In paragraph 1 of the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb, the text states that people's understanding of ancient Egypt changed. What caused this to happen? Carter discovered the tomb of Tutankhamun. This is the cause. It answers the question, why did it happen? This is the effect. It answers the question, what happened? This text has a cause and effect structure. Another way to identify text structure is to look for signal words. As you read about how to conduct an archaeological dig, you can look for words that tell you when and in what order to do certain steps. The author tells readers what step to take first. The words "the first step" signal this text has a procedural structure. We know how to read to find out what to do next. Let's look for signal words that tell us the other steps in conducting an archaeological dig to finish the chart. Paragraph 3 uses the signal words, "What's next?" It tells you to prepare by gathering what you need. Let's put that in the box. Paragraph 4 uses the signal words, "It's time to move on to the next step, digging." So we will put digging in the next box. Paragraph 5 uses the signal words, "the final step." This tells us this is the last step in the process. Let's put "figure out what artifacts can tell you about the people who once lived in the area" in the last box. Identify central idea and supporting evidence. Understanding how a text is structured can help you better identify the central idea and supporting details in a text. The central or main idea is what the text is mostly about. Supporting evidence is the details that give more information about the central idea. Authors don't always state the main idea of a text directly. To identify a central idea in a text, you can start by looking for repeated words. Glance back through paragraphs 1 through 4 of the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb. What are some words the author repeats? Discovered, Tutankhamun, tomb, archaeologist. Keep these words in mind as we look more closely at details in the text. Discovered interesting objects. Objects discovered provided a wealth of information. Archaeologists learned ancient burial practices. Ran tests to learn about diseases. The author says the objects the archaeologists found gave them a lot of information, helping them learn about diseases from ancient Egypt as well as burial customs. Think about how these ideas are related to each other and to the words the author repeats. Based on these details, what do you think the central idea of the text is? The discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb gave archaeologists new information about ancient Egypt that they didn't have before. Now let's scan conducting an archaeological dig. Look for repeated words and supporting details. Archaeologist, dig, dig up, artifacts, find, people who once lived. Let's use text details to find the central idea. Dig up what humans left behind. Clues that people once lived in an area. When you find something, make notes. Carefully study each artifact. So what do you think the central idea of this text is? Conducting your own archaeological dig can turn up artifacts that can teach you about the past. Let's review the concepts that we covered. Characteristics of informational text give facts and information about a topic. Procedural text explains a process. Text structure organizes ideas in a selection, such as cause and effect and procedural. The central idea is the main point that the author wants to share with the reader. Authors will use facts and details as evidence to support the central idea. Awesome words we looked at: archaeologist, Tutankhamun, pharaoh, artifacts.